Welcome to yet another episode of Inside Athletics, brought to you by the IAAF. I'm your host, Ato Bolden. We are fortunate enough today to be joined by a two-time European champion and the 2015 World 110 Hurdles champion, Sergey Shubenkov of Russia. Sergey, welcome to the show. Nice to have you on.
Yes, you're not many persons can pronounce my name well the right way, but you did it at the first attempt. I'm impressed.
So let's talk a little bit about your event. It's one of the events I always say in my next life. Maybe I'm going to come back 3 or 4 inches taller.
You have already plans for your next life?
Of course. I mean, always be planning ahead as an athlete. It's the event I think is the most beautiful to watch. Everybody has a chance on any given day. And if you look at the history of the hurdles, even the recent history, that world title and that Olympic title does not stay in one person's possession for very long. So you were world champion in 2015.
Yes.
Tell me about that year.
Well, I agree with you, but if you see 100 meters final, and you could basically predict who's going to be the winner. But if you put just 10 hurdles ahead of them, so the chances of predictions are going very low.
Yes.
So everything could happen in hurdles. Yes, that's why I like the sport too. So yeah, back to 2015 to Beijing, when there was the peak of my career. Actually, when I was the world champion. I don't know. It was.
How did you feel going into the race? Did you feel like, it was, you had Aries Merritt there, you had the Olympic,
I had everyone there.
Yeah, as always.
Everyone. Yes, and there was something new. The feeling I experienced back at that moment, it was something unique and thrilling. I was really sure that I would win.
Really?
Yes, and it was, started with wait, maybe.
Right, your semifinal had gone really well.
That's not about it. It's not because of semifinals, but when I proceeded through the
rounds?
call room, call room, and then how you call it, the last checkpoint.
Yes.
So through all the checkpoints, my confidence grew, and I couldn't explain the reason why. So that was a total new experience for me, and that was beautiful.
So you just had a feeling that it was going to be your night.
Yeah, and when we finally were going to the track, I just thought, well, look, why not? It was a totally new feeling. I enjoyed that night very much. It was the best night of my life.
Who else do you look at in the sport, either current or in the past, and say, this person is who I sort of am closest to in terms of technique and the model of my 10 barriers?
Technique, we actually...
And maybe it's not somebody current, maybe it's,
I understand. We analyzed a lot of guys with my coach, and actually that was my coach mostly analyzing. I was just listening, watching videos, comparing. I think, because we mostly watched at Lu Jiang.
Really?
Really, the world record holder at his times, an Olympic champion. Yeah, it was really a role model. We also checked out Colin Jackson just to look through the...
He had a lot of speed.
Yeah, but he very so-called British technique, when they do with their left or right hand, not below, but they going up.
Right.
The swing they're doing up. So there was the British technique, and we also checked if you could remember this guy Arto Brugare. He's a Finnish hurler, and. The reason why I checked his technique was I met him in person, and I had a chat, and then my mom showed me the old track and field magazine, like a Soviet magazine, and there was, how you call it, and it's frame by frame pictures of him in hurdles. So, and I think maybe my technique is closest to Arto Brugare's.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about what you see as your strengths as a hurdler. Every hurdler has strengths and weaknesses. What are the weaknesses that you have to overcome, and what are the strengths that you take into every hurdle race?
I do very well at the second half of the race.
Yep.
and this is my strongest part, and that's why I don't do 60 meter.
Yes, I've noticed that.
So,
yeah.
Like for the last couple of years, I don't do indoor seasons, and yeah, of course, then the first half could be like the weakest spot. So yeah,
is that a speed issue or what?
A little bit of speed issue, a little bit of adjusting to the hurdles, to how you do the first hurdle is really important. And if you do a mistake on the first hurdle, this could be more crucial than doing it along the distance. So yeah, this is about making first like two, 3 hurdles perfectly, and if this goes well, then the rest of the race should be nice.
So you have one of the most engaging personalities, certainly in your event. If you had not ended up as a world champion and European champion hurdler, what would you be doing?
That's very interesting question, actually, because when I was a young guy, the sport was never a top priority in life for me. Yeah, my mom.
What did you see yourself doing when you were young?
My mom, a professional heptathlete,
of course,
insisted that I should be studying.
Wow.
So I mostly spent my life in studying. First studying at school pretty well, almost getting all of the A's at the time of graduation. So
impressive.
Then I entered the university to study law, not something like, I don't know, biology or coaching or something like this.
Right.
So that's another totally different branch. So, and I was doing pretty well there. But then I understood that the real thing I should be doing is sport, because it's much more excitement, it's much more joy for me in sport and training and competing, although I started traveling around, watching the meetings. So I visited as an athlete the first of my life World Championship in Daegu in 2011. Yeah, it was a fantastic experience for me, even though I didn't qualify from the preliminaries.
But sometimes that's how it is. You got to sort of get there and pay your dues. And
back then it was really a big experience for me to run in the next lane to Zhejiang. So,
oh wow! The guy who you had looked up to for all this.
Yes, of course.
And at the time, the world record holder.
Yes, and that was really interesting and pretty much shaped my life as an athlete after the World Championship.
Let's talk about the Olympics a little bit. Track and field athletes tend to get remembered by how they do in the Olympic Games. So with your collection of medals from Worlds, but still sort of looking for that Olympic one, tell me, is that sort of something that you think about, or you feel like, hey, you know what? If it is to be, fine. If not, I'm fine with it. How much pressure are you putting on yourself for that Olympic medal?
Yeah, but the interesting is everyone else is putting pressure on me about Olympic medal. But everything I can say about it, that I've never been to Japan before.
Oh, Tokyo 2020, of course. So okay, so 2 years from now, you're in the Olympic final, right? And you're next to, I mean, let's face it, you sort of have an idea of who's going to be. Are you going to step to the line thinking, hey, I'm not going to have too many more chances at this, I have to get an Olympic medal, or will you treat it as you would any other championship?
I think everybody steps to the line and thinking about pretty same thing.
Right.
So yeah, I tried to treat the London Olympics as any other championships, but I couldn't.
Right.
So it's simply not another World Championships, though. Well, technically everything is gonna be the same.
The same.
So, like the block.
Except the pressure.
Yeah, except the pressure. I could say not even the pressure, but the atmosphere itself.
Yeah.
Of the event. It's the event of so big scale. The whole world is watching. Of course, the whole world is watching in World Championships as well. But well.
Of course. Yes. Of course.
Like we cannot compare those things. Actually, it's hard to me, from this point where now we're sitting to think about Tokyo and the final.
It's not that far off.
And the start line, yeah, of course, but we usually plan our efforts, plan our training, make our training plans, usually for the next year, and maybe like the upcoming the next year. So far I'm only foreseeing like to the next World Championships, like Doha, October, gonna be an interesting experiment in preparation. So we have to shift our schedule a little bit. So, and of course, just Tokyo is so far. We and the coach, of course, thinks about it as like from at the back of our heads. Of course, we have it in mind. Of course, we are eager to be in the right shape, be in the right mood, stay healthy until Tokyo, but nothing like specific where we're standing and I'm thinking and I'm and I'm like trying to sense my opponents. No, nothing like this.
Tell me a little bit about your off the track stuff. When you are not competing or training, what's the thing that occupies? What's your passion off the track?
Passion off the track.
What's the thing that you love the most, not name hurdling? That we can talk about in a family show.
Okay, so I'm growing up. I got married.
Okay, that's good.
So my passion of the track is my family.
Your family.
So, of course, I spend a lot of time with my family. I spent a lot of time with my parents as I grow up more and more time.
Yeah.
Of course, I have some time with my friends. That's the pleasant stuff of a pleasant side of staying in a town where you were born.
Right.
So I don't move anywhere, and that's pretty much my passion. Well,
let's talk about
although as the like computer games. And,
of course.
Board games.
But let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about that for a second because so many of the people that we've had on the show, Mo Farah comes to mind, Greg Rutherford comes to mind. They cannot train in the country that they represent, some of them, because they find that the crush of the media and the pressure and sort of, I don't know, kind of having people patting you on the back every day is not conducive to being a champion. And yet, as you said, you live in the same place that you were born. You're a big celebrity in your town. How do you sort of manage those expectations and not be too comfortable in your training atmosphere?
See, I think like the trouble is that Mafara and Rutherford, they live in a small country.
Okay.
I live in a huge country.
Yes, of course, Russia is.
There is a lot of stuff happening in many different sports. And track and field, unfortunately, unlikely, and in Great Britain is not the most popular sport around.
Right.
So, of course, I'm a big celebrity. In my hometown.
Yes, as you should be. It's your hometown.
Actually, I'm feeling like everybody else is. I'll get used to it.
Okay.
Like it's totally natural. Like,
right.
Okay, I see Shubenkov, so it's okay. He's here. He lives here. He trains here. I see him every day. Hello, Sergey. Like.
Right.
My town is not so big in Russian scale.
Right. Big to everybody else.
Big to everybody else, but.
What's the population of your town?
Around 700,000.
Oh wow, yeah.
So like, that's still considered small. So seems like everybody already deals pretty nicely with Sergey Shubenkov living around and having a chance to see him. I don't know, at the shopping mall.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Wish you all the best in your future. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.